So the Zenless Zone Zero patch 2.2 livestream just ended, and in it they went over all of the cool new things that we can expect to see when the patch arrives on the 3rd of September. Now, whether you missed it or you don't have time to rewatch it, I'll give you a quick rundown on everything covered in the stream. First things first though, the redemption code is OBOLSQUAD, so make sure you redeem this quickly as it only lasts a day, but there is also a Twitter event where you could win 10 master tapes. All you have to do is follow the Twitter account and then quote the tweet linked in the description below, along with the corresponding hashtag. This Twitter event is also only for a limited time until the 24th of August, so be sure to act fast. Otherwise though, diving right into the main content of patch 2.2, we have none other than the lore, the main story. Once again, things are happening over at Wi-Fi Peninsula, with the Exaltus up to their usual shenanigans. But this time around, Isolde is sending in the OBOLSQUAD to get involved with the things happening in Wi-Fi Peninsula to try and get rid of the Exaltus. And we, as Phaethon, are of course going to help out. Some really important things to take away from the trailer though, was that a young girl's voice could be heard talking about the Krampus, and that right at the end of the trailer, another woman's voice could be heard saying that she believes in her dear children and that they are the brilliant Phaethon. So maybe we're going to get one step closer to finally finding Carol Arna next patch. All of this and more in the 2.2 main story. Do not go gentle into that good night. That isn't the only bit of story we can expect though, because we will also be getting a Seed agent story, Flora of the Blooming Valley. I knew it would happen, but they're going to try and make everybody have a soft spot for Seed by giving her some sort of tragic backstory, where Seed was initially an orphan found by the mech Seed Senior, but now Seed Senior is asleep or whatever, and it's up to us to figure out what is up with him. Speaking of the Seed shilling, we can expect to see a lot of Seed promotional material as well, with not just a teaser and a character demo, but an animated short film too. I'm not sure if Orpheus will be getting the same amount of love sadly, but I hope that they do because I'm genuinely curious to see what the deal is with Orpheus Magus. But from the looks of it, that story will be expanded upon in the main 2.2 story itself. But speaking of Seed and Orphe though, let's actually go over their kits. First up is Seed, the electric attacker. Seed is actually meant to coordinate with other attack characters, because she will pair up with the attack agent with the highest attack in the squad, designating them as her Vanguard. When this paired Vanguard uses an EX special attack, Seed enters the Onslaught state, which increases her own attack and crit damage. But when Seed uses an EX special attack, the paired Vanguard will enter a state that increases their attack and crit damage. Now, when both of these buffs are active at the same time, Seed and her partner can trigger the Besiege effect, which further increases the damage of both characters. Furthermore, any energy spent by Seed or her partner will restore the gauge called Steel Charge for Seed's mech, and any damage that Seed herself does will restore energy to her partner, as well as refilling her own steel gauge. After consuming enough steel charge, Seed's mech will deal 2 extra large Big Slam attacks. You can then of course use her EX skill and ultimate for more bursts of damage. As for Orpheus, the fire attacker, much like Seed, she is very much looking to coordinate her attacks with the rest of the team. When teammates attack enemies, Orphe and Magus will use a special attack from off-field and fill up their gauge of bottled heat. The catch with them though is that when they have enough energy, they will automatically use their EX version of their special attack from off-field to further support the offensive. Now, with enough bottled heat, you can have Magus fire a laser that will consume the stored bottled heat. And this is important because whenever you hit an enemy with a bottled heat attack, all squad members will get the zeroed in state, which increases their attack. If any of your squad members uses an aftershock while in the zeroed in state, this will extend the duration of the buff. More importantly though, if there is a stun or a support member in the squad, zeroed in will also allow your aftershocks to ignore a portion of the enemy's defense. So basically the game plan with Orphe is to hit with the other squad mates to build up heat, then use a bottled heat attack to apply the zeroed in state, then let your others keep on dishing out the damage. Something of note though is that the higher the energy regen, the more of an attack boost the zeroed in state provides. So if it wasn't clearly obvious yet, yes, Soldier Anby will work really well with either Seed or Orphe. Being able to consistently deal aftershocks and buffing other aftershocks means that either team you decide to use will have a relentless onslaught of non-stop attacks. Something that was kind of interesting though in the livestream was that they said that Anby is currently undergoing intense confidential training, and that there would be no doubts that Soldier Anby will soon activate her inner potential, stealing the spotlight and showing off her much improved prowess. Now, at first glance, this could be seen as a possible hint for some potential Soldier Anby buffs, or this could just be a cheeky in-universe lore explanation of Soldier Anby finally having her time to shine now that we have Seed and Orpheus arriving, where her aftershock buffs can actually be of use. But that is just going to have to be something to keep an eye out for in the near future. It probably won't be happening anytime soon though, if there is actually a buff for Anby, or else they probably would have explicitly shown off some of these buffs, especially if you look at the patch 2.2 banners. In the first half, we will of course be getting Seed, but the rerun alongside her will be Trigger, while in the second half, we will have Orpheus and Magus, but the rerun here on the second half will be Evelyn, another fire attacker, not Soldier Anby. So maybe if they are going to buff Soldier Anby, they're waiting for those to be finalized before rerunning her. Forget about fancy new agents though. More importantly, we will also be getting a new S-rank Bangbu, Mr. Mercury from OBOLSQUAD, as well as a free A-rank Bangbu, Excalibur, which we can get from participating in some of the events in patch 2.2. But before we dive into the events though, there was some other new content revealed for patch 2.2. Firstly, when talking about Deadly Assault resets, a new boss was shown off in the menus, and man, if you thought the previous Miasma Fiend was a baddie because of the butt shot, this new boss is even more of a wild one. Not only that though, but we'll also have two new disc sets that will be available in 2.2. The first is Dawn's Bloom, where the 2-piece set increases basic attack damage by 15%, and the 4-piece set will further increase basic attack damage by another 20%, and if the equipper is an attacker, using an EX special or ultimate will further increase the basic attack damage by another 20%. The other disc set is Moonlight Lullaby, providing a 20% energy regen on the 2-piece set. And for the 4-piece effect, when the equipper is a support and uses an EX special or ultimate, all damage dealt by squad members increases by 18%. So basically, say hello to one of your new go-to support disc sets. Coming back to the events though of the patch, we will have the return of the Bangbu combat assessment in the Band of Brave Bangbu event, aka the Arknights mode. Supposedly though, this time around, these stages will be much more complex and challenging than ever before, but at the end of the day, it is still going to be just a mini game in a gacha, so I don't think it can be that bad, right? This event will also be how you acquire copies of the new A-rank Excalibur. Then next up is the Problem Soldier Bootcamp, where you will fight enemies in special battlefields with unique mechanisms. Instead of hitting enemies to deal damage, you'll have to use your environment, like pushing enemies into a laser wall or hitting explosive barrels into the enemies. Then there is the Spotlight Showdown, a set of HRA themed battles where you are given trial versions of characters to take on daily stages to complete various battles with special tasks attached to them. Then for everyone that loves the various songs that come from Zenless Zone Zero, there is going to be the Rhythm Rave, which is basically a built-in Osu minigame with actual character songs from Zenless Zone Zero being included. There will also be the Enna Treasure Hunt, where you use picture clues to find various treasures scattered throughout New Eridu for some polychrome as well as some collectibles. And lastly will be the Wish Bottle Adrift event, similar to the Sharkboo Beach event from the current patch. This is one of those events where by simply logging in and spending your stamina, you will receive some items that you can turn in for rewards. And of course, a patch isn't complete without the usual login events for Boopons and encrypted master tapes, as well as of course the double drop events for routine cleanup as well as combat simulation. And lastly, for the optimizations, a lot has been done to revamp the Shriban Temple to make navigating through the menus a little bit more seamless. But honestly, some of the biggest optimizations to come out in patch 2.2 is that now you can spend quality time with an agent using whichever sibling you want. And also, over in the character menu, you will now have the option to hide characters that you don't want to see in the menus if you don't use them that much. The perfect character menu, where you have Miyabi and nobody else, is finally possible. Most importantly though, you will now be able to place more items on your shelves in your bedroom, and now that is an optimization I can get behind. Lastly though, the Zenless Zone Zero and Razer collaboration was revealed to be some gaming peripherals featuring none other than Hoshimi Miyabi, with a mouse, keyboard, mousepad and gaming chair being part of the collection. I still think it's a missed opportunity though that they did not do a pair of headphones. But otherwise though, that is everything that you can expect to see when patch 2.2 of Zenless Zone Zero arrives on September 3rd. Now that you've seen the kits and the reruns for patch 2.2, what are you all thinking? Who are you pulling for? Seed? Orphe? Maybe both of them? Maybe neither of them? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, do consider leaving a like and also clicking subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated, especially since we're almost at 40,000 subscribers. Otherwise, until next time, bye bye.